This is Dinah Lane of Harwich Channel 18, and I'm here right now with Alain Ferry, who is a member of the Bikeways Committee in Harwich. Hello, Alain.
Hi, Dinah. Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you. I understand you were just voted the vice chair of the committee. Is that correct?
Yeah, indeed. Last night at the most recent meeting.
That's great. Well, I had wanted to talk with you because I know the safety issues about biking and driving and walking and all of these things are really paramount, particularly this time of year when there are so many people in town. And I'd really like to clarify with you some of the safety things that people need to be paying attention to.
It's a good topic to discuss.
Okay, great. I understand you brought some visual aids, but maybe we should start right now with safety on a bike, and you can start with some of your props.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Well, let's start with just being comfortable before we speak about being safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having a water bottle. This is a water bottle that's from the Friends of the Cape Cod Rail Trail, which you can order on their website, and a pair of cycling gloves, which are padded, and these are not only going to keep your hands more comfortable and prevent numbness if you're on a long ride, but they're also going to save you from scuffing up your hands if you go down in the unlikely event that happens. In which case, if you do go down, it's obviously also really good to be wearing a helmet. So you don't want to hurt the noggin. That's important.
Can you just tell me whether that is a law, that bikers have to wear a helmet?
That's a really good question. It is not the law for adults. However, any cyclist age 16 and under is required by law to wear a helmet.
Okay.
Yeah. So great question.
Because I have seen adults not wearing them with kids who are wearing them, and I'm wondering what the discrepancy is.
Well, I'm going to confess, I'm one of those adults. I was a bike racer for a very long time, and frankly, I think I'm probably safer on two wheels than I am on four or on my own 2 feet. I'm pretty comfortable on a bike, and I don't wear a helmet, and my children sometimes ask me, why am I not wearing a helmet? And I explain to them that it's a choice as an adult, and if I'm riding on the road, I'm going to wear a helmet. If I'm riding on the bike path, I don't think a helmet is necessary. And I've got a lot of family in Holland, and we go there a lot, and my kids see almost nobody wears a helmet in Holland, and things are working just fine over there.
I see. Okay. But riding on Route 28, you're saying riding on the road probably makes sense to wear a helmet.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I wouldn't even ride on Route 28. But yeah, if you're going to ride on Route 28, I'd wear a helmet. Maybe I'd even consider some, body armor or something.
There are a lot of riders along the road.
Yeah.
So if we could also just clarify right now what the rule is about which side a biker is supposed to be and how they're supposed to conduct themselves on a road as busy as Route 28.
Yeah, that's a good point. So cyclists are supposed to travel in the right lane, just as a vehicle is.
Yes.
They're supposed to stay on the right side of the road. Massachusetts actually just enacted a law called the Vulnerable Users Law in April. And previously, cars had to leave at least 3 feet of space when they're passing a bicyclist. And now by law, it's a minimum of 4 feet of space. And there's a whole
wider
bunch of,
berth.
Yeah, and there are a whole bunch of little pieces to this vulnerable users law that it's broader than just cyclists.
Yes.
And
who else does it include?
Well, it includes highway workers, first responders, pedestrians, handicapped people, farm equipment, things like that.
People with baby carriages.
And even people on, inline skates and scooters and things like that.
I see.
And yes, certainly baby carriages. And I don't think we need a law for that, right? That should be obvious. So the law also included some funding by the state to put signage on roadways in the Commonwealth, reminding people that you need to give 4 feet when you're passing a cyclist.
Okay.
And the town of Harwich actually applied for a grant for all this free signage, and I believe we've got 46. Yeah, we received a grant for 46 signs from the state. And so Lincoln from the DPW is going to be installing those signs. I'm not sure when the installation begins. Maybe the signs haven't even arrived yet, but it's a big win because on the Bikeways Committee, what we did is we looked at all of the roadways in Harwich, and we identified through Strava heat maps, we identified the roadways which have the most bike traffic, not based on like what we think or what someone told us. We actually looked at real data.
I see.
And identified those and shared the street names to the town administrators. And, bravo, kudos to them. They applied for all these signs, and it all got approved. So those signs,
Wonderful.
we'll see those signs going up probably over the next few months.
I think that would be helpful for everyone, a lot of bikers and a lot of drivers.
Yeah.
Because there is lack of clarity. For some reason, there is still lack of clarity about who stops for whom when you come to a bike crossing across a road. And I just want to get that straight today and make sure that everyone understands it.
Yeah.
Okay, so from the biker's perspective, they have to stop at any roadway because there's a stop for them, right?
Yeah. I mean, stop sign, period.
A stop sign, period.
Roadway
They
or
have
not.
to stop.
Yeah.
Okay. And they can either be on their bike or standing.
Correct.
But they have to be full stop before a car is expected to stop for them. Now, on the other hand, drivers of cars also have to be really alert when they come to bike crossings and make sure, of course, no one wants an accident. And so they also, as soon as they see a biker stopped at a stop sign there, the car needs to stop and let them pass. And the biker can either walk across or ride across. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that's the important distinction that clears up a lot of the misunderstanding around this topic. It's a controversial topic, and a lot of people think, based on some Facebook posts or just a misunderstanding of the law, they think that a cyclist is required to dismount and walk their bike.
I see.
Now, that's not true. A cyclist is required to dismount and walk their bike if they want to be treated as a pedestrian. And when you're treated as a pedestrian, a car is legally required to yield to you. Now, just if you've stopped and you're standing there, you are now a pedestrian. You've satisfied that definition.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
The car has to yield to you. You can get on that bike, back on that bike, and ride across. You do not have to walk it across.
Good.
So
Good.
And frankly, I think, mutual respect between pedestrians and cyclists and vehicles would suggest that the quicker we get across,
Yes.
the happier we are. We're all going to get on our way sooner. So, if I dismount and walk across on my clunky little cycling shoes, it's going to take me probably 15, 20 seconds to get across that road. If I just hop back on the bike and ride across, I'm across in less than 10 seconds.
Yes, of course.
And, think about the impact on the local traffic if every single cyclist actually dismounted and walked the bike across.
Yes.
We'd have traffic jams.
So we have it straight now.
Yep.
Bikers can ride across.
Indeed.
Okay. And I think you say mutual respect, and that, of course, is the bottom line. However, I think it is aided by full understanding of what the expectations are. And then people can respect each other better if they really understand what the expectations are for themselves as well as for the other.
Yeah.
Right?
And the misunderstanding stems from some, from the pedestrian law that defines a pedestrian as somebody on 2 feet.
I see.
That, I think, ultimately legislation will be modified to clear that up.
I see. Okay.
And that's in the pipeline. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're working on it.
But things are changing.
Yeah.
And the Bikeways Committee is helping with that.
We're trying, yeah.
Sounds like you have a very important role.
Well, it's still just recreational stuff and
But
keeping
it is
safe.
life and death too.
There are components of it, yeah, and that's a good point because we didn't finish the equipment safety thing.
Tell me more.
So speaking of life and death, I mentioned the vulnerable users law, and one of the additions to that law. So it was already a law in Massachusetts that a cyclist is required to have a front light when they're riding at night, something like this, right? The new law that went live in April also says that a cyclist must have a rear light, which is a red light. Now, it can be a solid red light. It can be flashing like this. Now, these are really cheap. I actually ordered this front light and this back light as a package combination on Amazon it was probably less than $15. And if I want to ride my bike at night, I have to have the front light, and now I also have to have the back light. And
Thank goodness.
yeah. And especially on, the backlight probably isn't necessary if you're just riding on the rail trail. But if you're riding on the roadway, 100%, it's necessary, and now it's legally required.
Right. Well, things can get hot and heavy on the rail trail too, but the road is really, really the biggest important thing.
You're right. And speaking of hot and heavy on the rail trail, a lot of people complain that cyclists go whizzing by them. Pedestrians will complain that cyclists go whizzing by them. I know it's true because I live along the bike path.
I see.
And sometimes I'm out there walking or running instead of riding my bike. And I will have cyclists pass very close to me without any audible warning, which upsets me. And sometimes I yell at them because I'm one of them.
Okay.
Every cyclist, in my opinion, should have a little bell that, warns if they, sometimes it's really helpful to have the bell and say on your left. And, luckily, a lot of the pedestrians on the rail trail understand when they hear that, they'll give a little nod to acknowledge that they know you're coming.
Yes.
But cyclists that don't have a bell and don't give an audible alert, they don't have any place on the rail trail. They don't belong here.
So cyclists should always announce their presence.
Yes. It's safety and it's respect for other users.
Right. Okay. All very, very important guidance.
Did I talk about glasses?
No.
Yeah. Glasses.
Those are very jazzy looking.
Well, oddly enough, they look like those expensive Oakleys that probably sell for $150. These are, I think, $25 on Amazon.
Turn them towards the camera.
So they're cheap, but they're going to keep my eyes safe.
I see.
And maybe they make me look a little cooler.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Although you're plenty cool as it is, and very much so for coming in and talking to us about this. It's very important.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate your support.
Thanks. This is Dinah Lane for Channel 18. Thank you so much.